Right now, we are all watching Britt Westbourne fighting for her life while on the run with young Rocco Falconeri. The poor woman is incredibly sick, passing out unconscious in a remote cabin in Tortola, leaving a terrified Rocco desperately trying to contact Danny Morgan and Charlotte Cassadine for help. But what if this mysterious illness is not just a random sickness or a flare-up of her previous medical conditions? What if the truth might be way more complicated than a simple health crisis? The hush-hush rumor circulating among the production insiders is that Britt is about to receive the most shocking, life-altering medical news of her entire existence. It seems like the impending test results are not going to confirm a deadly disease, but rather a miraculous pregnancy. And, ladies, hold on to your seats, because the unconfirmed leak suggests she is not just carrying one baby, but twins. Just imagine the sheer magnitude of this drastic storyline shift. Britt Westbourne, a woman who has faced so much heartbreak and loss, suddenly finding out she is pregnant with twins. And we all know who the father has to be. High chances are that Jason Morgan is about to become a father to two beautiful babies. This changes absolutely everything for the Morgan and Quartermain lineage. Jason has always been the ultimate protector, a man who sacrifices his own happiness for the safety of others, but discovering he has twins on the way would undoubtedly shift his entire universe. The behind-the-scenes whisper indicates that this twin revelation is going to be the central emotional anchor for the next major story arc, pulling in every single character connected to their orbit. When we think about this incredible news, we immediately have to think about young Danny Morgan. Sweet, brave Danny has already been stepping up so much lately. We have seen him rescuing his little sister Scout from Drew Kane's captivity, and we have watched him tenderly comforting Charlotte Cassadine at the Quartermain boathouse when she was devastated about Valentine turning himself into the WSB. Danny is growing up right before our eyes, showing the exact same protective instincts that his father is famous for. What if Danny is the first person in Port Charles to piece together the truth about Britt's condition? He is already receiving panicked, urgent messages from Rocco via that tablet Britt handed over. It seems like Danny is about to be thrust right into the center of this massive, dangerous storm, and he is not going to back down. The unconfirmed leak suggests that Danny is going to experience a profound realization that he is about to become a big brother to two twin siblings. For a young man who has spent so much of his life wishing for his father's presence, the idea of having new siblings to protect might ignite a fierce, unstoppable fire inside him. High chances are that Danny will absolutely refuse to stand by and do nothing while his future siblings and Britt are in grave danger. We are hearing a hush-hush rumor that Danny might take matters into his own hands, actively plotting to intervene and protect Britt and Rocco, no matter the personal cost. This would be a beautiful, yet terrifying opportunity for Danny to prove his bravery, showing the world that the Morgan blood runs deep in his veins and that he is willing to risk everything to keep his family safe. However, the joy of this miraculous twin pregnancy is going to be severely overshadowed by the dark, looming threats that are currently suffocating our favorite characters. The danger from Jens Sidwell and Ross Cullum is absolutely far from over. In fact, what if the truth might be way more complicated, and these two ruthless villains decide to pivot their malicious focus directly onto Britt and her unborn children? We know that Jens Sidwell is a chaotic force of nature, currently setting dangerous traps for Sonny Corinthos, Laura Collins, and Lucas Jones, while ambushing Willow Kane at her home. Sidwell is a man who thrives on leverage and psychological torture. If he catches wind of the fact that Jason Morgan's true love is carrying his twin babies, high chances are he will view Britt as the ultimate bargaining chip to destroy his enemies. On the other side of this nightmare is Ross Cullum. We know this dirty double agent is currently preparing to escape Spoon Island with all the highly classified cold fusion information. Cullum is relentless, suspicious, and highly trained. The unconfirmed leak points to a terrifying scenario where Cullum might actually discover Britt and Rocco's secret hideout in the British Virgin Islands. Dante and Lulu have just arrived in Tortola to rescue Rocco, but we all know that Dante and Lulu's actions could accidentally leave a digital trail or a physical clue that Cullum can track. It seems like Rocco's worst fears are about to come true. The poor boy has been lashing out at Dante and Lulu, terrified that their presence will endanger a very sick Britt. If Cullum descends upon that cabin, Britt, Rocco, and those unborn twins will be sitting ducks in a deadly game of international espionage. This is exactly where the drastic storyline shift regarding Danny Morgan comes into play. What if Danny, alongside his loyal partner in crime Charlotte Cassadine, manages to completely sabotage Ross Cullum's grand escape plan? The behind-the-scenes whisper is that Danny is not going to stay safely tucked away in Port Charles. We might see this brave teenager pulling off a daring move, intercepting Cullum's resources, or even finding a way to travel to the British Virgin Islands himself to stand between Cullum and his new family. It is a terrifying thought for any mother watching, but it perfectly aligns with the legacy of Jason Morgan. Danny stepping up to shield Britt and Rocco from a trained killer would be one of the most emotional, heart-stopping moments in recent television history. But ladies, let us talk about the man of the hour. The hush-hush rumor that has every single fan buzzing with anticipation is the imminent, highly anticipated return of Jason Morgan. It seems like his arrival back in Port Charles is no longer a distant dream, but a rapidly approaching reality. The unconfirmed leak suggests that Jason's return is going to be explosive, emotional, and driven by a singular, blinding purpose. The moment Jason's boots hit the ground, his absolute top priority will be locating Britt, Danny, and his unborn twins to ensure their absolute safety. We know Jason. He does not care about WSB politics, he does not care about cold fusion prototypes, and he certainly does not care about legal boundaries when his family is threatened. Just imagine the look on Jason's face when he receives the news that Britt is not only fighting for her life against illness and international mercenaries, but that she is also carrying his twin babies. High chances are we are going to see a side of Jason Morgan that is more lethal and determined than ever before. He has always fought for the people he loves, but fighting for the mother of his unborn twins will unlock a primal, unstoppable force within him. What if Jason bypasses all the police protocols, ignores Dante's warnings, and launches a one-man war against Jen Sidwell and Ross Cullum? The truth might be way more complicated than a simple rescue mission. It might turn into a spectacular, dramatic reckoning for anyone who dared to put his new family in jeopardy. The behind-the-scenes whisper details a potential confrontation between Jason Morgan and Ross Cullum that will leave us all breathless. Cullum thinks he is the smartest man in the room, outmaneuvering Valentine Cassadine and the WSB head known as Z, but Cullum has never faced a fully enraged Jason Morgan protecting his pregnant love. It seems like Jason will track Cullum down, whether on Spoon Island or in the remote corners of Tortola, and systematically dismantle every single advantage the Dirty Agent has. Jason will not just be fighting to neutralize a threat, he will be fighting to secure a future for his twins, ensuring that Cullum can never, ever look in Britt's direction again. Simultaneously, we cannot forget about Jen Sidwell's chaotic revenge plot. Sidwell has been running rampant, attacking Ezra Boyle, harassing Willow, and setting deadly traps. But what if Sidwell makes the fatal mistake of trying to use Britt or Danny as bait to lure Jason out? The unconfirmed leak hints at a massive, violent clash where Jason completely turns the tables on Sidwell. Jason's protective instincts over Danny and the twins will make him completely immune to Sidwell's psychological games. High chances are that Jason will team up with Sonny Corinthos, not for mob business, but for the pure, unadulterated protection of their bloodline. Together, they would absolutely crush Sidwell's operation, sending a clear message to the criminal underworld that the Morgan and Corinthos families are untouchable. As we dissect this drastic storyline shift, we have to deeply consider the emotional state of Britt Westbourne. She is currently lying unconscious, vulnerable, and terrified. When she finally wakes up and hears the news of her twin pregnancy, the sheer overwhelming panic of her situation will be heartbreaking. She wants nothing more than to give these babies a safe, loving home, but she is currently trapped in a nightmare. The hush-hush rumor is that Britt will draw immense strength from the thought of her babies and the hope of Jason's return. She will fight tooth and nail to survive, protecting her womb at all costs, proving that she is just as fierce and resilient as the man she loves. Furthermore, the dynamic between Britt, Danny, and Rocco is going to be incredibly moving to witness. Rocco has been her sole protector in the wilderness, and his bond with Britt is going to be solidified forever. What if Rocco finds out about the twins and realizes that he has been guarding the future of the Morgan family this whole time? And when Danny finally reunites with them, the emotional weight of these three young people, Danny, Rocco, and Britt, clinging to each other for survival, will have us all in absolute tears. It seems like the writers are meticulously crafting a beautiful, makeshift family unit that will ultimately be saved and anchored by Jason's heroic return. This unconfirmed leak about the twin pregnancy and Jason's impending warpath is exactly the kind of high-stakes, deeply emotional storytelling we have been begging for. It ties together the legacy of the past with the promise of the future, putting our favorite characters through the ultimate test of love and survival. High chances are that the upcoming weeks will be filled with near misses, tearful reunions, and heart-stopping action sequences as Jason races against the clock to save his pregnant love and his brave teenage son. The truth might be way more complicated than we can even imagine, but one thing is absolutely certain. Jason Morgan is coming home, and he is going to destroy anyone who stands in the way of his family. So, my dear friends, keep your eyes peeled and your tissues ready. If these behind-the-scenes whispers turn out to be true, we are about to witness the most epic, romantic, and thrilling storyline of the decade. But I must leave you with one chilling thought to ponder as you go about your day. What if Jason arrives in Tortola just 1 second too late, and finds that Cullum has already taken Britt and the twins to an undisclosed, inescapable location? Stay vigilant, ladies, because the true nightmare might just be beginning.